This is a new version of the Audi R8 V10 Performance, and it's a little bit like taking the stabilisers off your child's bike, because Audi's taken the stabilising effect of the Quattro all-wheel drive system away from this car, because this new version is the Performance rear-wheel drive. And in this video I'm going to tell you exactly how that changes the car, and of course I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour, because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and you hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single upload. Let's do it. Buy, sell, Carwow. Let's start this video with what is one of the main attractions of the Audi R8. It is, of course, its fabulous 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 engine that puts out here with the rear-wheel drive version 570 horsepower and 550 newton meters of torque, and it drives the rear wheels only via a 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox with launch control, which I'll be using very shortly to see how quick this car is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. As for the starting price, £133,000. Now, if you're thinking about buying a car like this, you're probably going to have to sell your current car. To make sure you're getting a great price for it, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below to go to Carwow, because you can sell your car through us. All you have to do is upload some photos of your car, brief description, and our dealers will bid on your car to make sure you get a good price. You just choose the best offer and they'll come to your house, take your car away and put the cash in your bank. Now, if you want to do that at a later date, you just simply Google "Wow Me Carwow" and we will wow you. A naturally aspirated V10 engine isn't just about the performance, it's also about the noise. So let's start the Audi up, come on. Nice startup sound. Now let's have some revs. Yeah, classic Audi, soft limiters, spoiling your fun. You can't rev it out while it's stationary. Well, not technically, however, there's a bit of a cheat. If you engage launch control, then you can sort of rev it. Go on, do it now. I suppose that's a sort of workaround. Anyway, here's a quick montage of some Audi R8 V10 rear-wheel drive noises. I'm going to talk you through the design changes over the normal R8 V10 Performance. So at the back, the rear-wheel drive car doesn't have a fixed visible spoiler. Instead, it's an electronically deployable one. So deploy the spoiler, it does it automatically at speed. Anyhow, lower down, this trim here around the exhaust, that is black on the rear-wheel drive rather than a sort of grey on the all-wheel drive car. Now, moving down the side, you get 19-inch alloy wheels as standard. You can get 20s, but the only way to get 20s is to upgrade to the Edition model, which is £11,000 more. The Edition model also gets some different coloured trims and bits of carbon fibre. Around the front, it's identical to the Quattro model, which means yeah, it's a really good looking supercar. You know, underneath the skin, it shares lots of its parts with the Lamborghini Huracan, but for me, I'd rather be seen in one of these. It's less showy. I prefer the interior of the R8 as well to the Lambos. That's just a little bit chintzy, whereas this is a little bit more sensible. Some might say boring, but I don't agree, because you've got some nice features like the climate controls, the way you have like the digital display within the actual dial, and the driver's display is nice and clear as well, and you've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is handy, and generally quality is very, very good. Practicality isn't terrible like you might think. So you've got a decent sized glove box, storage there, some cup holders there, though they do get in the way of your, yeah, you get the idea. But you can just put bottles here in this storage net, and in fact there is a ledge there where you can put some luggage. The driving position, that's good, though I've heard from some taller people that they do struggle with headroom. That's not such an issue in a Porsche GT4 RS. If you want to see my full-length video review of that car, click on the pop-up button up there for the link in the description below. Now, the changes for this rear-wheel drive version over the Quattro is just this. It says rear-wheel drive instead of Quattro there, and instead of being carbon fibre, this surround is this plastic. Oh, and the Quattro model actually comes with bucket seats as standard. They're optional on the rear-wheel drive model. Instead, you get these fully electrically adjustable sport seats instead there. Now let's check out the fruit, the front boot. So this is your luggage space on the R8. That's what you got there. It's 112 litres, which is exactly the same as on the Quattro. I thought it'd be a little bit more because I've got the drive shafts getting in the way. Oh, can I squeeze my hips in there? Yeah, it's very tight. Now, if you want a sports car with a decent sized boot, you might want to check out the Jaguar F-Type, because it's got over 300 litres of space. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, or follow the link in the description below, you can check out my video on that car. I think I want this suck. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things. Could someone give me a hand about this car? Go on, swipe up. For some reason, the rear-wheel drive version of the R8 has body-coloured side blades. You can picture if you want them in black or grey. Don't know why you just don't have it as standard like on the four-wheel drive car. The rear-wheel drive version of the R8 used to start about £17,000 cheaper than it starts from now. Granted, you do get a bit more kit and some more power, but still it was good to have that entry-level price. Made it really quite surprisingly good value for a supercar. While the rear-wheel drive is now more powerful than before, for some reason they didn't go the whole hog and give it the 620 horsepower you get with the full Quattro version. I think that's due to marketing reasons. While you can choose different modes for the engine and gearbox, the steering and the engine sound, you cannot alter the suspension on the rear-wheel drive version because, unlike the Quattro, you can't get it with adaptive dampers. For some other marketing reasons, in the UK you can't get the rear-wheel drive version of the R8 with dynamic steering, the performance drive mode, Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres, nor carbon ceramic brakes like you can in other markets. However, that does bring me on to 5 good things about this car. For instance, the standard brakes have this interesting wave design which reduces their unsprung mass for better handling with no apparent loss in braking performance. The good thing about being able to get a rear drive only version of the R8 is that it makes it easier to hooligan around a bit like that. It's always good fun. The rear-wheel drive version of the R8 is 0.2 miles per gallon more fuel efficient than the Quattro model. Not a big difference, but every little helps. Actually, I've seen 30 miles per gallon average just cruising at 70 on the motorway in this thing. I'm not showing that now because I've been thrashing it. It's a lot worse. Anyhow, I like this. Look, you open the fuel filler cap and you put the nozzle straight in. There's nothing to unscrew. Just saying. Previously, the rear-wheel drive version of the R8 could only do a measly 199 miles an hour. This new one, though, with its added power, has joined the 200 mile an hour club. Its top speed is 204 miles an hour. Because it hasn't got a four-wheel drive system, the rear-wheel drive version of the R8 is slightly lighter than the Quattro. Not by loads, but everything helps, doesn't it? Driving the R8 rear-wheel drive. The main thing about this car is still this. Oh, the engine, it's so sweet. 8,500 RPM and all the sound. Oh my gosh, often you find yourself short shifting this thing because it's just so fast. Good news is, it's got plenty of punch in the mid-range and plenty of sound as well. What can sometimes happen though is with the gearbox, you pull to go down a gear but it won't let you. Even though you know you've got enough revs to play with. It's a bit annoying because on the upshifts it's always on point. Do you know what? I'm not missing four-wheel drive at all right now. Road is dry and it's just so good. It is more involving, this rear-wheel drive car, with all the power going through the back wheels, no front wheels to help you out when traction starts to wane slightly. But that's half the fun. You can feel it just working a way to put its power down. The way you can balance it on the throttle is really cool. The chassis on this thing is really good, and you just feel a little bit more in tune with it with the rear drive setup. It just makes it more fun. And the steering, it just feels a little bit nicer because you haven't got that weight of the drive shaft. All the front wheels have to do is think about steering. Oh, and occasionally braking. Speaking of which, on the road these brakes are fine. However, I've had an R8 rear wheel drive on track, and after a few laps the brakes did start to get a little bit, yeah, they didn't hold out as well as a Porsche 911 GT3 that I had on the same day. In fact, nowhere near as well. In fact, on track, GT3, it's the daddy, it'll beat this thing, no problem. If you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there. However, as a road car, different story. You see, this is just a little bit easier to live with. It's the suspension. Yeah, no adaptive dampers, doesn't really matter. It does a great job of just working with the road. Even when it's a little bit bumpy like this one is, it doesn't feel like it's skipping. It always seems to just keep enough grip and have enough travel. It's genuinely good fun. It's the most fun Audi, absolutely. Most fun R8, absolutely. Would I have it? I don't know. Probably not. You see, on a day like today, this is the Audi R8 I want. Thing is though, most of the time, life isn't like this. It's an unfamiliar road, maybe raining, and then with the four-wheel drive, you can deploy the performance much better. Yes, this one is more fun. It definitely is, but only when the conditions are right. And when they are, So good. And it does that other thing so well that the R8 does, and that's just be easy to live with for a supercar. Pottering around town, all well and good. You do notice the suspension is a bit bumpier at slower speeds, and you do wish that you had the adaptive dampers of the four-wheel drive to put it into the softer mode, but that's the only complaint. Other than that, it's just like the four-wheel drive. Comfy enough seats, decent visibility for a supercar, super easy layout, just lovely. Audi says 0 to 60 in this rear-wheel drive R8 should take 3.7 seconds. I'll find out with my specialist timing gear up here. Let's do it, launch control. No chance. Not enough traction. What? The actual that spin of its wheels, the stability chimed in, and yet I still did a 3.6 to 60? Nuts! Finally, brake test from 60 miles an hour. Let's see what we got. Here we go. 33 meters. So then, what's my final verdict on the Audi R8 V10 Performance rear-wheel drive? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, even though this is the best Audi to drive, I'm going to say avoid it, because really the Audi R8 is best as the Quattro all-wheel drive, because then it's the everyday sports car. If you want a hardcore or super fun rear-wheel drive sports car, you're better off looking at a Porsche or maybe a used Ferrari. Sorry, it's true then.